The air crackled with anticipation, a palpable energy coursing through the crowd. It was the 4th of July, and all eyes were on Joey Chestnut, the reigning champion of Nathan's famous hot dog eating contest. A man who had become a legend in the world of competitive eating. But this year, something is different, something that had never been seen before in this arena. Joey Chestnut has won Nathan's famous 4th of July International Hot Dog Eating Contest 16 times, including victories every year since 2016. Joey has made a fateful choice to represent one of Nathan's hot dog brand's rivals, which has resulted in him not being allowed to participate in the upcoming 2024 July 4th contest. Alongside the traditional meat-filled hot dogs, a new contender had emerged, the vegan hot dog, a plant-based alternative that promised to change the game. According to sources, Joey Chestnut is now representing the Impossible Foods brand, which is focused on making meatless meats, and they have just released a frankfurter made from plants. Negotiations have been ongoing, but so far unfruitful, as Nathan's hot dog brand can't accept Joey advertising for a rival hot dog brand at their contest. There is still the possibility the two sides could reach an agreement that might still allow Joey Chestnut to participate in the July 4th event, but sources say that is all up to Joey. This seemingly simple advertising brand disagreement has ignited a firestorm of debate, highlighting the growing influence of veganism on even the most entrenched traditions, sparking conversations that went beyond the contest itself. This wasn't just about hot dogs. It was a reflection of broader societal changes. It was about our relationship with food and how it shapes our identities, our values, and our understanding of the world around us, challenging us to rethink what we eat and why. The inclusion of vegan options in traditional food events, while welcomed by some, was met with resistance by others, exposing a cultural rift between those clinging to familiar comforts and those embracing new dietary perspectives. A divide that mirrored larger societal shifts. Food is more than sustenance. It's woven into the fabric of our cultures and traditions. It tells the story of who we are and where we come from. Think about it. Holiday feasts, family recipes passed down through generations, even the simple act of sharing a meal. These experiences transcend the act of eating. They become cherished memories and traditions that we look forward to. They connect us to our past, to our communities, and to a shared sense of belonging. Through food, we celebrate our heritage and honor our ancestors. For many, traditional foods represent a connection to their heritage, a tangible link to the past. These dishes are often prepared with love and care, preserving the flavors and techniques of generations. The aroma of a familiar dish can evoke childhood memories, while the act of preparing it can feel like a sacred ritual. It's a way to keep our history alive and share it with future generations. In a world often characterized by rapid change and uncertainty, these culinary traditions offer a sense of comfort and continuity. They remind us of who we are and where we come from, grounding us in our identity. In recent years, a new perspective on food has gained momentum: veganism. Fueled by concerns about animal welfare, environmental sustainability, and personal health, more and more people are choosing to forego animal products. This shift in dietary choices is reshaping the culinary landscape, challenging long-held norms and sparking conversations about our relationship with food and the planet. Veganism is no longer a niche movement confined to the fringes of society. It's entered the mainstream with plant-based options readily available in supermarkets, restaurants, and even fast food chains. This growing accessibility has made it easier for people to explore veganism, contributing to its increasing popularity. The inclusion of vegan options in traditional food events, while a testament to the growing acceptance of plant based diets, has also been met with resistance from various quarters. Some view it as an attack on tradition, a disruption of the status quo that threatens to erode cultural norms that have been passed down through generations. They argue that veganism, while a valid personal choice, shouldn't infringe on established customs that form the backbone of their cultural identity. Others bring up valid scientific evidence that humans are designed to eat omnivore diets, and that all the historical and archaeological evidence points to humans' very long practice of surviving on omnivore diets around the world. There's also a wide variation in how vegans choose to eat, and some of them make bad food choices that have led to unhealthy outcomes, which can be similar to the outcomes of those omnivores who have also made unhealthy food choices. So both groups can face issues including obesity and vitamin deficiencies, among many other conditions. Vegans generally have a much harder time than omnivores in getting a proper mix of nutrients. So to become a vegan often includes adapting a certain lifestyle to ensure you get the full range of needed nutrition. There are also individual genetic differences between humans, where some can thrive with a vegan diet and others have less than optimal results. This resistance to the vegan movement often stems from a sense of unease with change, particularly when it comes to deeply ingrained traditions that people have grown up with and cherish. Some vegans have also taken a more aggressive and activist stance, which has led to them to being perceived as something more like a cult and practicing some form of religion instead of just focusing on a diet, as veganism does usually include a focus on the morality of not eating certain things and only allowing consumption of very specific items. It certainly does resemble a religious doctrine in many ways. Vegans typically avoid eating anything with a face or anything manufactured by animals, such as honey, cheese, or butter, which most omnivores and many vegetarians view as too extreme and radical. Some argue vegans are ultimately hypocritical, as they do eat plants, which are also life forms, and many of these plants do depend on living creatures as part of their life cycle, along with needing the death of animals and their decay into soil to be able to grow and provide sustenance. So, vegans are actually eating recycled animal parts, essentially, not to mention the huge number of microorganisms that all of our food contains, they also ingest. Many vegans still eat varieties of bread and consume certain types of alcohol, which are both produced by the living organism of yeast, which some argue is a demonstration of the hypocrisy of the vegan stance against honey if they still eat yeast bread or consume alcohol produced by the action of yeast fermentation. Food, with its strong emotional and cultural significance, can be a particularly sensitive subject, evoking strong feelings and memories. For some, the introduction of vegan alternatives feels like a challenge to their identity, a questioning of the values and customs they hold dear, and a potential loss of their cultural heritage. When it is perceived that vegan options are being forced, or when the only options are vegan, many feel they are justified in feeling attacked. The same negative perceptions are felt on the vegan side when no vegan alternatives are provided and their food preferences are insulted. A matter of choice, respecting differences. It's important to acknowledge that both sides of this debate, those who embrace the inclusion of vegan options and those who resist it, are driven by deeply held beliefs and values. Rather than dismissing either perspective, it's crucial to foster a dialogue that emphasizes understanding, respect, and empathy. Veganism, at its core, is about making compassionate choices that minimize harm to animals and the environment, taken to the extreme of activism and demanding others follow their beliefs, can lead to social disruption, which the actions of a few has resulted in some negative perceptions of veganism. Those who choose a vegan lifestyle often do so out of a deep sense of ethical responsibility. Those who choose to follow a more traditional diet often do so out of a respect for their culture and their preference for what is familiar. A mutual recognition and respect for each individual's motivations is essential, even if one doesn't necessarily share the same dietary choices. So, just like people love different kinds of food, go ahead and like this video by destroying that subscribe button and giving it a thumbs up. Beyond the plate veganism's wider impact, the debate over veganism's influence on traditional food events is just one facet of a larger conversation about the evolving relationship between food, ethics, and culture, as concerns about animal welfare, environmental issues, and personal health continue to grow. We can expect to see further shifts in the variety of dietary choices and their impact on societal norms. Veganism is just one of many different diet choices that have developed through time and is a more strict form of vegetarianism with its focus on reducing animal consumption. Various forms of vegetarianism can be traced back in certain cultures for thousands of years. In the modern context, veganism promises to help reduce climate change, along with various other issues of modern society, although there is little valid research to actually demonstrate any conclusive effectiveness of such claims. Two separate polls in the USA found a range of only 1 to 4% of Americans self-reported as being vegan in 2023, which is a wide margin of error. As awareness of these various dietary practices grows, more long-term research is needed to study the outcomes of plant-based diets versus more traditional diets. Finding common ground, shared values. Despite the apparent divide, there's common ground to be found in the shared values that underpin both tradition and the embrace of new dietary choices. Both stem from a desire for connection, for belonging, and for a sense of purpose. Traditions connect us to our past, while embracing new perspectives allows us to shape a more sustainable and compassionate future. Rather than viewing tradition and change as opposing forces, we can choose to see them as complementary aspects of a dynamic and evolving culture. Traditions provide a foundation, a sense of rootedness, while embracing new ideas allows us to adapt, grow, and create a more inclusive and compassionate world. The future of the feast, inclusivity and adaptation. The future of food traditions isn't about erasure or replacement, but rather about adaptation and evolution. It's about finding ways to honor the past while embracing the present and shaping a future that reflects our evolving values. It's about creating a space at the table for everyone, regardless of their dietary choices, and welcoming those with very strict needs to feel welcome in bringing their own food. This might mean offering vegan versions of traditional dishes alongside their meat-based counterparts where possible, ensuring that everyone feels included and respected. It might mean reimagining classic recipes, substituting plant-based ingredients while preserving the essence of the dish. Ultimately, the responsibility for meeting fringe dietary requirements is ultimately on the individual that chooses or needs to be on such restrictive diets. Making demands on others to drastically change their cooking or diets is generally considered rude. When making plans at non-vegan restaurants, many establishments are often happy to accept requests to prepare vegan dishes if given advance notice when making a reservation. Making demands at places without advance notice is typically bad form and gets negative results. A seat at every table, embracing the variety, the inclusion of some vegan options in traditional food events, while perhaps jarring to some, isn't a threat to our cherished customs. Rather, it's an invitation to engage in a meaningful dialogue about our values, our choices, and the future we want to create. To learn a new appreciation of what amazing flavors can be created using a different combination of ingredients. It's an opportunity to expand our understanding of what it means to belong, to share a meal, and to celebrate the richness and diversity of human experience. Ultimately, the goal is to create a world where everyone feels welcome at the table, where traditions adapt to reflect our shared humanity, and where food continues to be a source of connection, joy, and celebration. Ultimately, we all like what we like, and we have to respect that others like what they like too. Personally, I find myself to often be on the fringe of the food world, as I despise ketchup and prefer mustard as my condiment, and there is a definite discrimination at many restaurants in how they offer ketchup versus mustard. The ketchup bottle is nearly always on the table, while many places only provide tiny little packets of mustard. Speaking of the packets, the ketchup packets are substantially larger than the mustard packets to add further insult to injury. So we all have our food preferences, and it is very unpleasant to find you can't get something the way you want it. So let's all remember to respect that we all have different tastes, and it is okay to like what you like and dislike what you don't like. So providing more options where possible is often a great solution, while remembering you can't ever please everybody. So enjoy the food you like, and sometimes it can be fun to try new things, while those offering such new things need to be wise enough to not be personally insulted if someone doesn't like what they tried. Thanks so much to everybody in this video, and thanks so much to all of you out there for tuning in to the NOLA Gent channel, most especially to my Patreons. Now, if you would so kindly go ahead and share this video with any of your friends and contacts that would enjoy it, because that would really help the channel with the YouTube algorithm.
NOLA Gent here, and thanks so much for watching. And just go ahead and destroy this video right here to keep up with the fun.